host here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. I'm Mike Gill, and joining me tonight, we are talking with Andrew Goldstein. He's the former WWE Creative Team member back in 2006, part of the good era of some of the WWE's finest work, Andrew. But the road to WrestleMania, we had the go-home show for Raw on Monday night. We have WrestleMania on Sunday, so we have plenty to get into, and let's jump right into things, Andrew, because obviously this WrestleMania buildup has been scrutinized a lot. You wrote for SmackDown back in 2006, so you know what goes on back in these rooms. I got to imagine if you were in there this year, you might be fighting some guys because the go-home show Monday had a lot to be desired, in my opinion. I don't know about yours.
Well, the road to WrestleMania has been very, very bumpy this year. I mean, last week's Raw was 2 hours, 50 minutes of just BS. And then you got 10 minutes of an incredible final segment with Sting joining Randy Orton in the ring, and you finally got to see Sting be, physical, and it made me feel good. I was just like, all right, finally they're giving us something. They've this long drawn out, slow burn here. Finally, we're getting some good stuff. And then we get to this week, and it's 2 hours and 50 minutes of a pretty decent Raw, pretty decent go home show to WrestleMania until the last 10 minutes. And they blow it with the Reigns Lesnar stare down and the tug of war of doom. I mean, people are going to be talking about this like they talk about the finger poke in WCW. I mean, this is what a ball drop. I mean, you have the most credible, if I can say it, ass kicker in the world of combat sports in Brock Lesnar, and you have him tugging at the world title with Roman Reigns, like two, like toddlers in nursery school over a toy. It was, I just couldn't, when I said to you before we went on the air, the WWE I worked for in 2006, I would have gotten slapped by Michael P.S. Hayes if I even suggested that the champion and the challenger for the main event of WrestleMania have a tug of war over the title, and that's how we go off the air on the go-home Raw to WrestleMania. I mean, I was just jaw on the floor, could not believe that was the decision that they went with.
Yeah, I thought, I looked at it literally. I'm watching it as they faded out. I was like, my sister could rip the belt out of Reigns' hand right now. Like, this is a joke. I wonder, because to me, they didn't sell me at all that Reigns can win that match, but where do you think, how does the Lesnar contract stuff set in here? I know you were there in 06, but in 04, that match was a disaster against Goldberg because everybody knew he was leaving. Do you think that's going to be an issue in 31 on Sunday? Well,
just one more note about the tug of war. I think, the whole build in Heyman's promo was he can't and he won't, That was the whole verbiage. He can't and he won't. Well, if they're going to do the tug of war, why not have Reigns hit Lesnar with a headbutt, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle style, when they're that close, tugging on the title, knock him with a headbutt, stun Brock Lesnar, have Brock Lesnar leave the ring, Reigns still in the ring, holding the title, standing strong, leaving the audience thinking, wait, maybe he can, maybe he will. That's what it was set up to do. If you're going to do the tug of war, you got to have some physicality in there. So, like I said, jaw on the floor, could not believe it. They have a lot of work to do on Sunday to get the credibility back in that story. But to your point about the match, the Goldberg disaster, the thing is the jury is still out. We don't know what Brock's contract situation. There are rumors, there's speculation, and everything I read is that they're still working on getting Brock to sign. But we saw 2 weeks ago, Paul Heyman dropped the little nugget in his promo, which I thought was very telling, which was, hey, Brock could take this title and show up in the UFC. Brock could show up in Bellator. So Vince is not going to allow Paul to say something like that unless, that's why it kind of sets off alarm bells in my head of story alert. And that's why I think what we could see Sunday is some kind of screwy ending, some kind of worked screw job, if you will, where the authority screws Lesnar out of the title because they can't, like Brett and Sean, they can't let that title go to UFC. They can't let Brock walk out of the company with the title like they let CM Punk walk out with the title when his contract was up. So I might be overthinking it. I tend to think that probably won't happen, but my cynical, having been behind the curtain brain starts to think like, okay, they might be doing some kind of work screw job here. And that's the way they put the title on Roman Reigns. But it doesn't really paint Roman in the best of light if that is the guy that they want to go with for the next year ahead. So I'm confounded by the match. I have no real feeling as to what they're going to do. That's just one thing that popped into my head.
That's why, Andrew, I had direct messaged you when we were setting all this up about what time it was. I think you could see possibly a reformation of the Shield. You have Ambrose win the IC. You already have the case. You could either have Reigns and Ambrose take out Brock and let Rollins use the case and then reform the Shield with Heyman running the Shield, or Ambrose and Rollins help take out Brock so that Brock still looks strong, that they needed all these guys to take him out.
Yeah.
And now that you have the IC, you have the case, and you have the championship belt, Heyman takes over the Shield and you reform the Shield. The only thing would be then, how do you get the case off of Reigns and put it, with the Shield having the belt? But would you be surprised to see a reformation of the Shield?
I love that idea. I think it's very creative. I think I think it's fantastic. I think you're on the right track there with some of the stuff that gets pitched in the rooms, that decide what goes on at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, the trend in the last sort of, I would say, almost decade is that plot doesn't really take place anymore at WrestleMania. They leave the plot, the plot twists and the new storylines to develop on the Raw the next night. It used to be that pro wrestling TV was the purpose of wrestling on TV was to promote live events. Then it became wrestling on TV was used to promote pay-per-view. Now it's ass backwards. Pay-per-view promotes TV. You watch WrestleMania just to see what's going to happen on Raw the next night. So I don't know if we'll see that much take place at WrestleMania, though I applaud your creativity. I think it's great. And look, I'm on record, the last time I was on Pillar to Post, I'm on record as saying the money, for me, the big money in the main event for WrestleMania 31 would have been the Shield three-way for the title.
That's right.
We're both, you and I are aligned here.
Well, I don't know that everybody, when we were in Philly, when the Royal Rumble was there, I think this carryover is still that from Royal Rumble to now Monday night before WrestleMania, did the WWE and Roman Reigns do enough to make you believe that he could be ready to be the champion? Because you know what goes into being a champion. There's a lot. Is he prepared for that role?
Look, what's interesting is that I just saw Roman Reigns is going to be on Conan tonight. So, that's the first step of like, hey, we're grooming this guy to be the face, the pop culture face of the company. Whereas, Cena can do an appearance like that in his sleep. The Miz can do an appearance like that in his sleep. Brock Lesnar is about to be on SportsCenter at 6:30. So, since the Rumble, I don't think they've done enough. I don't think they've done enough to get Brock or to get Roman Reigns there and believable and credible enough. But after last night, man, I don't know what to think. I honestly, I'm supposed to be the expert. I really don't know what they're going to do in that match.
All right, let's look at some of the other matches because Sting opened the show. He spoke for the first time the week before only on the WWE Network, so some people may not have seen that. He spoke for about 20 seconds, but then they let him open the show. Are they now using Sting too much? Are they letting him say too much? Would you have rather have had him go into that match almost virtually not saying anything at all?
No, I disagree. I loved hearing Sting on the mic. I think Sting is a good promo, even in his 50s. He's actually a better promo now than he really has ever been in his career. I hated when I think it was 3 weeks ago, they had the video package with Sting.
Oh, that was awful.
And they modulated his voice. So I'm happy that they let Sting talk in his regular voice and that he actually set out a purpose, a defined purpose for why he came back.
Does it seem to you
to the WWE?
Does it seem to you? It seems that Triple H and Stephanie want to make it this WCW versus WWE, and Sting is kind of like, I'm not on board with this angle. I don't care about that. It's ridiculous. I'm here for a different reason. Yet Stephanie last night, it was almost like, hey, we won the war and you were a loser. I mean, it was like nanny boo-boo. I mean, I thought she's normally pretty good. I thought last night she came off looking kind of ridiculous.
It was definitely mixed messaging. Yeah, I thought what Sting was saying was clear, and I think it was necessary because I think I ranted, again, the last time I was on Polaris Post, is that the biggest flaw in their storytelling the last couple of years is they're not saying specific reasons why people are doing things. You know, Bray Wyatt, we had no idea what the Wyatts were all about because all of the promos, as good as they were, was just all nonsense. And the same with the Shield. We never found out why the Shield was doing what they were doing because they never verbalized it. So I was happy to see Sting say, look, it'd be stupid if I came out here and was trying to fight a war that was 14 years ago. I'm here because I sit at home and I watch wrestling, and I've been watching for the last 14 years. And you've been taking you've been taking the easy way out and sort of running this company into the ground. So, we kind of know Sting's purpose, but then you're right. Then you have Triple H and Stephanie, contradicting that and saying, making all these, stupid WCW jokes that are 14 years old and lost on the current fan. So it's definitely mixed messaging. But me personally, as like the old school Mark that I am, I just love seeing Sting. Like Sting starting Raw, walking out, like it was goosebumps, man. And then he took his jacket off and he's ready to go. I think it's going to be a good match. People are sort of crapping on it. I think it's going to be a good match. Triple H is in it, which means the match is going to get time. It's going to be at least 15, 20 minutes, which will be great. That's the match I'm most excited for.
Definitely. Now, I want to ask you this before we get into some others because I find this to be very interesting that you're on the West Coast, which means you got to start early. The lights need to be off for Undertaker. What about Sting? What about the match placement of these matches? Because don't the lights have to be down for Sting's entrance to make it, the goosebumps? Doesn't the lights have to be off for Undertaker? Not to mention, though, Brock and Reigns probably has to be the main event. You're not going to get enough darkness to fit that all in.
That's interesting. I never thought about that, but I think, first of all, you're going to get all the bells and whistles for both Hunter. I mean, you see every year at WrestleMania, Hunter gets the big, theatrical entrance. So between Hunter and Sting's entrance, you have Brock and Reigns' entrances, and you have, Taker and Bray's entrances. Yeah, those matches are definitely going to have to be on the second half of the card. I think you can't do Sting with the crow and all that imagery. And so you're right about that.
Yeah, and then you can't put. I mean, could they really put Brock and Reigns 3 matches before the end? I mean, that's a tough sell for all of this. And the match, the WrestleMania is starting at 4:00 local time, which means 3 hours. It doesn't get dark till 10 after 7. I don't know how they're going to get that all in. It's an outdoor stadium. Yeah. It's going to be very challenging to see how. I'm very interested to see how. That's the way my mind thinks. I want to see the match placement of this whole thing. Let's talk though about the Bray Taker. First off, do you think Taker should have taken the year off? Number one. Number two, should he have at least appeared, or do you like the fact that we haven't seen him at all? Because he's never answered about last year. He just randomly is now showing up against a guy that called him out. It's like, why? I think they should have given him the year off. It almost seems like they're forcing this.
Yeah, I think it's one of the ways that they are. It's one of the things they're relying on as a spectacle. Is hey, we haven't seen the Undertaker in a year. You have to tune into WrestleMania to see the Undertaker. So I get it. That's kind of the way they think about the Undertaker. Is that like things like that work with him? I don't think they're not going to waste however many matches he has left in his body on him showing up on Raw or SmackDown just to sit up in a coffin. I think the story's been okay. Again, it's a little tiresome with Bray just cutting these promos every week. But
he's doing a great job, by the way. He's carrying it.
Yeah, but like obviously, suspension of disbelief. It's like really the urn and like calling him out. But I did like last night, again, same thing I said with Sting. I love that finally they had Bray Wyatt specifically say what his purpose was, which is, I want to be the new face of fear in the WWE. Yeah. And it's taken a year, almost 2 years now, to find out what Bray Wyatt's purpose is, because before this, it's just been Bray Wyatt, saying these very poetic, diatribes. But now, okay, I get it. He wants to put Taker out and become that new deity, that new WWE supernatural being. So let's watch him do it. I don't mind that we haven't seen Taker. I mean, everybody knows what you get with Taker, and I think it's one more thing that you build up to in that fourth hour of WrestleMania. Like, I got to see what Undertaker looks like right now.
All right, that one's interesting. And then you have Cena Rusev, which is interesting because the title's on the line here. Can we really see a situation where Cena is the U.S. champion? The one scenario could be, to me, Andrew, is if Brock wins the title and they know that the belt's going to be off TV for a while, then you at least have a belt with him. And then I would guess you have Daniel Bryan carry the IC belt, so you have two belts with guys who at least have some pull. That would be one way Cena, to me, wins this. Otherwise, is Cena going to, basically get Rusev over?
That is the internet. That's the hot internet story right now. Is that if Brock retains and you keep the world title off TV, old school like Hogan, never appearing really on pedestrian TV, but you put the two mid-card titles back into prominence by putting one on Cena and one on Daniel Bryan, and that's where you go for the rest of with the rest of the year. With those become the emphasized titles, and the world title you only get really at pay-per-view. So that's definitely the going story right now online. It makes a lot of sense on paper. So, but honestly, I would say I would owe you a cheesesteak at the White House if Cena does not go over.
Nice.
I mean, this whole year has led up to Rusev being undefeated and Cena, the world beater, the champion of the USA, taking this United States title off the dastardly Russian. So I think, if Rusev goes over, I'll be just as shocked as I was last year when Brock went over Taker.
All right, let's look at the Rollins-Orton, because obviously one's got the case. Orton is kind of in his own little story here, as he normally is. He's kind of off by himself here. Any swerves or weird stuff, or do you think this is just going to be a good, solid match? Because the build-up has been okay, not the greatest build-up in the world, because Orton was out for a little while there, but they kind of rushed into this thing. But I guess you're going to get a good match with these two.
I thought they wasted so much of the time that they did have when Orton did come back. They had about a month and a half to get him, back integrated into the story, and they wasted half of that putting him back in the Authority just to do what everybody knew was coming 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, which was turn on the Authority. I hate those kind of stories. I just feel like if he came back as this this strong babyface, put upon, screwed by the Authority. Well, now I'm back, and it's about to get real because you guys screwed me. If that was the full build, the full 6-7 weeks that Orton's been back, this match would be a lot more exciting. I mean, you saw Orton come to the ring last night. There was nobody cheering, and he's back to just boring old middle of the road tweener Orton. Is he a heel? Is he a babyface? You don't know. I'm disappointed by it, but I still think that match has the potential to steal the show because both of those guys are incredible workers. And in terms of where it goes, I think that case has to stay on Rollins. Though I would love to see some kind of situation where the case ends up with Orton, and then you get Orton versus Brock down the road, because I think that's a match we've never seen before, and I think it's a match that would be incredible. If you think about guys on the roster that could believably, be a match for Lesnar, and not just where you kind of have to watch, with one eye sort of janky, like, all right, well, there's no way this guy could really beat Lesnar. Orton's the guy, you put him in the ring, he's got a fighting chance. So I would love to see that match. I don't think that's where they're going. I think that case, and I think Rollins is one of the new faces, and I think he goes over.
All right, the 7-man IC. Do you like that concept? Putting first off, I don't like the guys that are in it, but do you like that many guys being in that kind of ladder match, or do you think that that's too much going on?
Well, two things on that. First of all, the whole new, WrestleMania used to be the season finale. and now it's just become this catch-all, fisherman's net of a pay-per-view card where they just try to get everybody on the roster their WrestleMania paycheck. So, I don't like that there's a battle royal, there's a 7-man ladder match, there's a fatal 4-way tag team match. It's just these mishmash matches, and there's no storylines. There's no one-on-one confrontations really. So in that regard, I don't like it, but I will say the last few years I've missed the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania. It was always that, okay, this match is going to steal the show. It's going to be in the first 2 hours of the show, and it's going to give you something to not be on your phone. It's going to be something you're going to talk about. Shelton Benjamin running up the ladder.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about one or two spots from the match. So in that regard, I do like the match. I'm nervous to see a guy like Daniel Bryan, who just came off his neck being broken, being in a match like that, because even if they limit the bumps he's going to take, he still could end up, a ladder could hit him wrong. He could fall off a rung here and there. Very nerve-wracking. But I think Daniel Bryan goes over. If I didn't pick Daniel Bryan, I'd probably say it's Ziggler's moment. But
well, what do you make of the last two times Ziggler's gone over leading up? Number one, first off, I hate the build of this. The stealing of the belt, I can't believe how ridiculous that's been. Yeah, guys running around stealing the belt, blah, blah, blah. But Bryan, they've made him look like, weak the last couple of weeks. It's almost like they're trying to get people to back off a little bit to give Reigns more of the spot. It's almost like they're manufacturing a way for people not to like Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get fans' attention off of, hijacking the show for the cause of Daniel Bryan. The yes chants have subsided.
No question.
And now he's stuck in this sort of mid-card, catch-all match. If he goes over, give him a little bit of a moment. If he doesn't go over, I think he remains in that mid-card status. But the other thing that bothers me about the match is that to me, the biggest upset I tweeted this last night, the biggest snub in March had nothing to do with Temple, even though I'm depressed about Temple being snubbed. The biggest snub is no Goldust versus Stardust with Dusty sort of, torn in the middle. That bothers me so much. And now to find out, okay, now Stardust is in this Intercontinental match with no heat, and then you have Goldust in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal again with no storyline. When you could have had this brother versus brother match, they could have built, that it could have taken seriously, Brett versus Owen kind of thing. It's really disappointing. I was looking forward to that on WrestleMania this year. So again, like you said, I don't love who's in the match. I am kind of excited to see, anytime Ziggler's in a match like that, it's going to be fun. But, R-Truth, Stardust, Wade Barrett, it's just, it's a buffet of mid-card guys.
All right, let's go up the card real fast. By the way, I don't want to skip the Divas match, but I do like the little build-up they put in there last night with the two. I think that added some intrigue. I don't like the tag team. I think that kind of dilutes the talent they have, but I think that was a nice little swerve to see what happens because Paige and AJ are pretty good workers.
Yeah, I mean, and you've seen this Give Divas a Chance movement. It's really, you see that management has heard it, and the last few weeks they've given Divas, 10, 15-minute matches on Raw, which is really unheard of. So, and they've been bringing it. The Bellas have stepped up their game. Paige is incredible in the ring. You have AJ Lee back. We all know what she can do in the ring. Plus, there's the added, intrigue that she's real life married to CM Punk, but still employed by WWE. So the Divas match is it's not a go get your popcorn match. It's really stay in your seat. You got to watch it because they've really been killing it.
All right, let's go up the card real fast and get your picks on these, and I'll give mine as well here. Does it matter who wins the Andre the Giant? Because last year Cesaro won, and they didn't do anything with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the night after WrestleMania, they've just dropped the ball with Cesaro because they had him go over, they had him with this big trophy, then they put him with Heyman, and then all Heyman talked about was Brock Lesnar in front of his new client Cesaro, and it just killed the guy. So I really hope they learn their lesson, and I think the smart money is on a Sheamus return and a Sheamus win. I think, again, that's where my money is. in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I think it's a Sheamus return, and Sheamus stands tall at the end, and then we go going forward. It's this new reinvigorated push of Sheamus.
I agree, and I'm just hoping that they give some of the NXT guys. Maybe you'll see one of those guys debut there and kind of get themselves turned in there.
I think on the last episode, I think they announced on NXT that they're going to have a gauntlet match tonight, and the winner of that gets into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So I think we will see at least one NXT superstar in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
All right, let's go to the IC ladder. Who do you got?
I think it's Daniel Bryan. I got to go with. I think because they couldn't put him in the. They just decided they weren't going to put him in the world title match. I still think they're going to give him another WrestleMania moment with him going over. I really put a lot of stock in that internet story of, Cena's going to walk out with the U.S. title, Daniel Bryan's going to walk out with the Intercontinental title, and that's where we're going to go going forward on TV until the Brock situation can be finalized. But like I said, runner-up, if it's not Daniel Bryan, I think it could be they could manufacture a moment for Ziggler, which would be wonderful. It's just a matter of what they do with it.
Divas match, you got the Bellas and then Paige and AJ.
I think now we saw there's dissension between Paige and AJ. Like that's what they're going towards. So I think the Bellas retain. I think look, Bellas are their, no pun intended, they're bell cow because Total Divas. They're the star of Total Divas. You're going to keep the title there, and I don't see that changing.
All right, let's take a look at Cena Rusev. What do you got? By the way, I got Bryan as well, and I'm going AJ Page only because if you watch Total Divas, it looks like they want to plan some families and maybe get into some acting. So maybe that's a way to kind of to go that route. But so Cena Rusev.
I'm surprised, and hope maybe it's coming after WrestleMania. But at some point on camera on WWE TV, you got to put Nikki with Cena or Brie with Daniel Bryan like full on. There's got to be some story there, don't you think?
They had Brie with Daniel Bryan before, and then they kind of backed off on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, but I prefer that they keep it split. I think there's way too much going on that Like, I think it's a shame with the Usos what's happening there because that's kind of like ruined her whole momentum that she had because now she's just kind of stuck as the third wheel in that. I don't know. I think
I just think that, obviously the Rusev Cena story has been, very on the nose with the USA versus Russia. But, like, imagine if they played up, Rusev and Lana with Nikki and John Cena. It would have added that, like, extra texture to the story of the girls are fighting, the guys are fighting, they're going – it's these couples. So that's just an aside, but I think at some point we have to see Nikki aligned with Cena on WWE TV. But the match you asked about was which one?
Rusev Cena.
Rusev. Like I said, I owe you a cheesesteak if anything other than John Cena walks out with the U.S. title happens. I think this whole year of Rusev making everybody quit just to fight the guy who says he never gives up. I think the story tells it. The story tells itself. I think Cena goes over.
All right, let's go to Rollins and Orton.
Yeah, I think that's like a pick'em, man. That's like an 8-9 matchup in March Madness. You could go either way. I think I got to go with Rollins just because he's going to have all the authority around him, and he's got the case, and he's the younger, and he's the future. And Randy Orton doesn't need the win, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, these are the three big ones here. Let's go with Bray Taker. Does Taker go 0-2 in his last two?
I'll tell you, I don't know what they're going to do, but I would put Bray over. I think this match is going to I think they said, look, to Undertaker, you got one, maybe two matches left. Now's the time. Let's make Bray Wyatt a bona fide superstar. And I think we're going to see Bray Wyatt go over, but Taker's still going to look strong, and they're going to do a lot to preserve his legacy, whereas maybe it took a hit last year, and obviously the second loss could hurt it, but I think you have to put Bray over.
All right.
But I was wrong last year like everybody else.
Yeah,
so
no question. All right, I don't know which ones of these are going to finish the night, but let's start in our pick. I'll go with Sting and Triple H ending the card. So let's get your Brock Roman pick.
Man, I put Brock over, man. I
agree. He's an ass kicker. You got to keep him as an ass kicker.
He is such a cross. He's just a media superstar, even though he doesn't really do media. You know what I'm saying? He's a pop culture icon at this point, Brock Lesnar. And the whole him with Heyman, it's working. Even though it's frustrating fans because he's not on TV, he's not defending the title. But again, it is appointment television. Yeah. It is when he's on, and it's must see when he's on pay-per-view. I mean, it's a prize fight, like Heyman said. And I wouldn't stop that.
Me neither. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You got it. You might as well keep using it. And you've shown that you don't need them to be there every night. And if you can't get a deal done, you can always do a tournament and get something going, start something back, or hit the reset button. All right, Sting. Will this be his only appearance against Triple H? By the way, for the record, I like Brock as well. I like Bray to win as well. And I'm going to go with Triple H here because how could Sting win this thing and then on the next night the authority's back in power? I just can't see how that makes any sense. So I think Triple H probably beats Sting.
Yeah, it's a hard story to tell, but I just look at it like, what is the point of the whole Sting thing if you just bring him in to lose to Triple H? I mean, unless they want to troll all the people who give Triple H all this crap about he never puts people over and he buries people, he buries his opponents. Okay, then I think it would be ironically funny if Triple H goes over Sting after all this hubbub. But I pick Sting. I think why invest? Why bring him back? Why do all this? Why not give him the taker if you're just going to have him lose to Triple H? I mean, I don't think Triple H needs the win. Obviously, he can come back the next night and claim all sorts of reasons why he lost. And still, keep his heat. So I think Sting has to win. I would love to see him wrestle occasionally in big storylines, But if this is a one-time deal, you can't bring a guy in for a one-time deal and not have him win.
Yeah, I would like to see him continue as well. And by the way, I hope he doesn't wear the TNA version of the Triple X T-shirt where he's just kind of hanging out. He looks like he's in much better shape. I think you'll see him take the T-shirt off.
He's like that kid in the pool who keeps his T-shirt on.
Yeah. All right, Andrew Goldstein, the former WWE Creative Team member, pillar to post here on the YouTube channel. And when it's all said and done, we'll be recapping it all. WrestleMania 31. And hopefully everybody enjoyed it. There's all the picks. And, Andrew, it's always a pleasure, man. We'll be talking some more after Mania. All right, pal?
Thank you. Good luck with your baseball fantasy draft. And where are you going to watch Mania?
On $9.99. I spend every month right in my living room.
I love it. Well, I'll be DMing you the whole time.
Cool. Awesome. All right, man. We'll talk after Mania, okay?
Thank you, bud.
All right. Take care. There's Andrew Goldstein. And, of course, I'm Mike Gill. It's Pillar to Post here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. We'll talk to you right after Mania, everybody. Here we go.